Hello and welcome to another episode of End of an Era, the series where I dissect the history of products that were the last of their kind. This time around, I'm going to be taking a slightly more broad approach to this formula. I'm going to be taking a look at the 2000s fad just about everybody was in on, Guitar Hero, as well as its many offshoots. These games helped bring the concept of rhythm games out of Japan, allowing anyone to play their favorite songs regardless of actual instrumentality. However, the concept of using a plastic guitar to play songs in a video game didn't originate with Guitar Hero, so without further ado, let's set the scene. This story actually begins in Japan, believe it or not. Japan is often considered the birthplace of the modern rhythm game, with one of the biggest reasons for that being Konami's line of arcade games from the 90s through to the early 2000s.
Beatmania and Dance Dance Revolution are probably the most well-known and definitely the most popular games that came from this craze, but there is another series that's of interest to this video. At the same time as Beatmania and Dance Dance Revolution, another innovative concept from the minds at Bemani was introduced: Guitar Freaks. Guitar Freaks and the subsequent Drum Mania are a series of arcade games originally released by Konami in 1999. The big draw of these games were their unique controllers based off of real guitar and drum instruments. Sound familiar? We're going to focus on Guitar Freaks right now. Guitar Freaks plays very similarly to Guitar Hero, with 3 fret buttons, 2 less than your average GH controller, and a strum bar. Notes fly upwards towards the hit bar, and when you hit the bar, you need to press the corresponding fret button and strum at the same time. These games are extremely simple to learn, but quite hard to master.
Guitar Freaks obviously would serve as a major inspiration for a group of small developers at a small studio named Harmonix, who later went on to begin working on their own guitar-themed rhythm game. This finally brings us to the development and later release of Guitar Hero on PlayStation 2. Guitar Hero was a joint production between video game accessory manufacturer Red Octane and the small music-focused game studio Harmonix. Red Octane had taken an interest in Guitar Freaks and wanted to bring a version of it to the United States.
Guitar Hero plays very similarly to Guitar Freaks, using a custom guitar controller with 5 fret buttons, a strum bar, whammy bar, and a tilt sensor, which allows you to flick the guitar upwards to activate star power, boosting your score. This concept is borrowed from Guitar Freaks, which has a similar gimmick called Wailing Bonus. What a name. The GH1 guitars were based off the Gibson SG guitars, shrunk to about 3/4 scale. Guitar Hero's music is primarily rock and metal, with the original game primarily consisting of covers of popular songs like Iron Man by Black Sabbath, Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple, and Spanish Castle Magic by Jimi Hendrix, alongside masters from indie bands, many of which are Harmonix employee formed. One of the defining features of Guitar Hero is its player-controlled steps. To put it as simply as possible, the game plays the guitar track of the song when the player plays the correct notes, but mutes it if the player makes a mistake. It's extremely simple, but makes the game so much more immersive and rewarding. The first Guitar Hero also introduced the concept of hammer-ons and pull-offs, borrowed from the real guitar technique of the same name. However, they work completely different to the rest of the series, functioning more like actual hammer-ons on a real guitar. They're notoriously broken in this game as a result, so most players just strum them instead.
Despite the quirks that came from being the first in the series, the original Guitar Hero sold extremely well, prompting the development of a sequel, unsurprisingly named Guitar Hero 2. It was once again published by Red Octane.
GH2 introduced new multiplayer modes, fixed the hammer-on issues from the first game, and added triple note chords. The game used the same guitar controller as the first game on PS2, however, when the game was ported to Xbox 360, it got a unique controller based off the Gibson Explorer guitar. GH2 once again features primarily cover versions of famous songs, including Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, Girlfriend by Matthew Sweet, Woman by Wolfmother, War Pigs by Black Sabbath, and yeah, Free Bird by Lynyrd Skynyrd. Laugh. The Xbox 360 version also featured Xbox Live achievements and downloadable content.
GH2 was the final entry in the Guitar Hero series developed by Harmonix, as Activision purchased the series publisher and accessory producer Red Octane, and Harmonix themselves were purchased by MTV. Harmonix did make a small expansion based on GH2 called Rocks the 80s, primarily focused on 80s songs, duh. It wasn't as well received as the prior 2 entries, and Harmonix formally exited the Guitar Hero franchise. With Harmonix having left the series, Activision was left with a bit of a dilemma. Guitar Hero made them a shitload of money, and given this is Activision, you know they wouldn't be willing to let the series die with so much money left on the table. Therefore, they enlisted longtime Tony Hawk developers Neversoft to helm the franchise with its landmark 3rd entry, Warriors of Rock. Guitar Hero 3 is considered by many to be the pinnacle of the franchise, and was the first entry to truly become household name popular. It doesn't add a lot of massive changes to the gameplay from GH2 and 80s, but instead opts to refine this solid gameplay base, making it the best it's ever played.
The PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii versions of the game shipped with a replica of the legendary Gibson Les Paul, being wireless out of the box for the first time. The 360 controller could connect to the Xbox 360 without any dongles, while the PS3 version required a USB dongle that has become unobtainium nowadays. Not that the PS3 guitar is any good anyway. It has major fret dropping issues, making it a pretty bad choice for a controller. However, the Les Paul for the Wii is, alternatively, a great choice for a guitar, with incredibly reliable strums and the ability to use the RAFnet adapter, which I'm going to go into detail on later.
Look, I even have this one!
The PS2 version of this game shipped with a
wireless
Kramer Striker replica, and the PC version shipped with the Explorer from the 360 version of 2. GH3 had those big Activision bucks backing it, meaning we got an incredibly packed set list with some serious star power. Alongside the mind-fuckingly awesome inclusion of One by Metallica.
Hey, look, I have that album twice, because I'm a loser.
We got Painted Black by the Rolling Stones, Cherub Rock by the Smashing Pumpkins, Sabotage by Beastie Boys, The Metal by Tenacious D, My Name is Jonas by Weezer, ew, Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss, ew, School's Out by Alice Cooper, Talk Dirty to Me by Poison, Slow Ride by Foghat, Barracuda by Heart, and Down and Dirty by LA Slumlords, along many other fantastic rock and metal songs. GH3 was many people's first experience with bands like Metallica, Rolling Stones, Heart, and Beastie Boys, and it's hard to underestimate the impact this game had on their popularity in the past decade. The game also featured more DLC, including the Halo theme on the Xbox version of the game.
Of course, no Guitar Hero 3 discussion is complete without mentioning its most iconic song, well known for being one of the hardest in the entire franchise, requiring insanely fast strums, fretting, and overall just being really damn good at this game. I'm, of course, referring to the game's final song, Through the Fire and Flames by speed metal band Dragon Force. It is incredibly important to remember how massive of an impact Flames left on this game. It became one of the ultimate gaming achievements for long after its release. Even passing the song on harder difficulties was considered a major accomplishment. And as far as I'm concerned, you're still an expert if you can pull it off on an expert. Fucking what?
While nowadays many of the best Guitar Hero players can pass the song with little effort, it's still held an incredible legacy as one of the toughest rhythm game songs of all time. Fun fact, Dragon Force guitarist Herman Lee later confirmed on TikTok that Dragon Force was only paid around $3,000 for the song's inclusion in GH3. Obviously that paid off hard for Dragon Force as it propelled their Inhuman Rampage album to gold status, with Through the Fire and Flames single going platinum.
While Activision kept the ball rolling, Harmonix went back to an old idea they had while developing GH2, revolving around the introduction of many different instruments for the game. With help from EA, Harmonix made this dream a reality. Rock Band shipped just a month after GH3 in the US and brought a completely new and extremely expensive meaning to the plastic instrument subgenre. Rock Band features, for the first time, the option to play drums, bass, which GH had already introduced, guitar, and vocals at the same time. Each song in the game had charts for all 4 instruments, thus allowing you and some friends to become the entire band. Great time.
Are you sick of your band getting in constant arguments over talent?
Well, you know, all I'm saying is we really should just mute the bass on the next track. I think it sucks.
Okay, but that doesn't answer my question. Who's paying for lunch today?
Well, I mean, you're playing a Stratocaster right now, so, you know what, fine. Let's just take it from the top. A 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a...
By Rock Band.
Wow! Now we don't need talent! Buy Rock Band, available for $50 on your local Nintendo Wii, Xbox 360, and /or PlayStation 3. Guitar accessories not included.
Guitar plays the same as it always has, with the same 5 green, red, yellow, blue, and orange buttons, this time duplicated on the top and bottom of the neck. The controller also has a whammy bar and tilt sensor to activate a bonus scoring mode called Overdrive in Rock Band. This game shipped with a Fender Stratocaster replica for the guitar, which could also be used for bass, which was initially wired before going wireless later on. One neat thing is that most Guitar Hero guitars released up to that point, including the Les Paul, work on the PS3 and Xbox 360, although they don't work on the Wii for Rock Band 1, for a reason nobody really knows. You also have the option of purchasing a USB microphone for vocals and a 4-pad, 1-pedal drum kit.
One of the other big features of Rock Band is the big rock ending. At the end of some songs, you get a chance for some bonus points by basically just mashing the shit out of your fret buttons and strumming a ton with some big rock energy, I guess. You get even more points when playing with a full band, where everyone's smashing their instruments or screaming out to their microphone. This was meant to encourage players to play in full band settings, and it was completely unnecessary, so it was phased out in future entries.
Rock Band features a large selection of master songs, with only 7 covers in its set list. Songs include Danny California by Red Hot Chili Peppers, Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult, Enter Sandman by Metallica, Here It Goes Again by OK Go, Highway Star by Deep Purple, Learn to Fly by Foo Fighters, Suffragette City by David Bowie, Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi, and Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who, among many others. One defining feature of the Rock Band series as a whole is the song import feature. The vast majority of the RB1 setlist could be imported forward into Rock Band 2, and then Rock Band 2 setlist could be brought forward to 3, you get the idea. Some songs wouldn't make the jump, but this was usually less than 10 songs per game. It's easily Rock Band's greatest feature, if you ask me. As expected, Rock Band had DLC available. Unlike Guitar Hero at this time, which usually got around 25 to 100 songs added over a game's lifetime, Harmonix cracked out over 100 songs within the first year, with over 1,000 released over the game's lifetime. The best part, most of this DLC could also be brought forward to future games. The Wii lacked DLC capability, meaning that for players on that system to get some of that sweet, sweet DLC love, they'd need an alternate method. This was solved using track packs, a selection of songs on a disc that could be played standalone using the RB1 engine, or imported forward to the main set list of Rock Band 1 or 2. These will continue to be released for future games too, even though at that point they really didn't need to.
Rock Band's introduction of multiple instruments kind of forced Activision's hand, and shortly after Rock Band released, Guitar Hero World Tour came out, featuring its own take on the drums and vocals introduced by Rock Band.
World Tour shipped with a new, larger guitar featuring a dedicated star power button, larger whammy bar, and a new touch bar on the neck, allowing players to slide their finger across it to hit notes as opposed to pressing buttons. This sucks. The removable neck also had an improved connection to the bass, fixing the widespread connection issues with 3's Les Paul. It also introduced a 3-pad 2-cymbal and 1-pedal drum kit, getting proper cymbals before Rock Band would. In Rock Band, the 4 pads corresponded to both regular toms and snares as well as cymbals. You could also connect a MIDI-enabled electronic drum kit to the game, which Rock Band allowed you to do as well, but this allowed you to bypass the plastic and play on your electronic drum kit of choice. It also shipped with a USB mic for vocals, but there's not much terribly interesting there, is there? It's just a Logitech USB mic. World Tour introduced the gimmick of customizable characters you could play as in the campaign, building off of GH3's customizable guitars and clothing options for the pre-made rockers. Using money from successful performances, you could buy clothing, hairstyles, guitar parts, and more for your own custom rock star. Also included in World Tour were a wide selection of celebrity characters, once again building off of GH3, which featured Tom Morello and Slash as boss characters. You could play as Ozzy Osbourne, Jimi Hendrix, Sting, and more. It was a really cool addition and helped feel the game many more authentic. Fuck my god, it was a really cool addition.
Just pretend I said addition there.
And helped make the game feel way more authentic. Yes!
World Tour has a large variety of songs in its soundtrack, with artists like Nirvana, System of a Down, Michael Jackson, Tool, Lynyrd Skynyrd, and Van Halen headlining. DLC once again was featured, being available on the Wii for the first time. The game began to signal a shift away from the metal roots of GH, as more and more mainstream music began to enter the series. This wouldn't come to boiling point for a few more entries, though. If you wanted some more metal, epic gamer stuff, 2 band-focused GH expansions had been released at that point, those being Guitar Hero Aerosmith Ew and Guitar Hero Metallica, yeah. They're about what you'd expect, being engine reuses with a setlist containing most of the best songs from these 2 bands. Moving on! EA was quick to fire back with Rock Band 2, an iterative sequel which aimed to fix some of the minor issues with Rock Band 1.
It shipped with a near-identical guitar to the original games, but it had a new fretboard. Yay. All RB1 instruments actually work on Rock Band 2, which is awesome. You can also use the Rock Band 2 instruments with the original game. A variant of the drums with velocity-sensitive pads and optional cymbal support was also released, alongside a basic re-release of the Rock Band 1 kit. The mic remained unchanged, but the vocal engine was modified to be a little more forgiving than Rock Band 1. Rock Band 2 also features character customization, which also was in 1, but I figured it made sense to bring up here, so sue me. You could purchase custom figurines based off your custom character for a while, so that's kinda cool. Can't do that anymore. A hyperspeed mode was introduced in 2 as well, seemingly begrudgingly.
High-level play of these games benefits from extremely fast note speed, but Rock Band 1 omitted a hyperspeed mode, which already existed in Harmonix developed Guitar Hero 2, with the developer's reasoning being it was to make players feel more immersed, as if they were actually playing the real instrument that I have right here. Obviously, someone had a change of heart, as 2 features Heights Proceed. Go team!
The setlist of Rock Band 2 features, among other songs, oh god, Ace of Spades by Motorhead, Any Way You Want It by Journey, Everlong by Foo Fighters, Let There Be Rock by AC/DC, My Own Worst Enemy by Lit, Pinball Wizard by The Who, Psycho Killer by Talking Heads, Spoon Man by Soundgarden, and White Wedding by Billy Idol, to say many others included as well, god damn it. Also included here was a song from the long-delayed and at launch yet unreleased Guns N' Roses album, Chinese Democracy. Isn't that neat? No, the album sucked. DLC also continued to flow as expected, with this game's DLC being compatible with the first game as well. The Wii finally got DLC support as well. Well, downloadable at least. Now, about 2 years worth of DLC was released, with a final song count totaling over 1,000 songs yet again. The only reason RB2 compatible DLC stopped being made was because the song format was changed for Rock Band 3, which released in 2010. Harmonix supported older Rock Band entries like crazy, and I think that's super cool.
All of that DLC wasn't enough for Harmonix, as alongside the traditional DLC system, a new platform called Rock Band Network launched with Rock Band 2. Rock Band Network allowed anyone with licensing rights to a song to chart and release it for sale. This system led to a few hundred more downloadable songs being released before the RB2 network, which was referred to as RB Network 1.0, shut down, once again because of the song format changes with Rock Band 3. Rock Band 2 was hailed as a near-perfect rhythm experience, and let's be fair, it pretty much was. That put pressure on Activision to try to top it with their next Guitar Hero entry. However, it was pretty clear that by Guitar Hero 5, priorities had begun to shift.
Guitar Hero 5 retained many of World Tour's new features, including the multiple instruments, character and guitar customization, and celebrity characters. GH5 introduced the ability for multiple players to play the same instrument in co-op, which somehow was not a feature in the series until now. You can only do it in competitive. Jesus, guys. Including some full band bonus point opportunities, mostly borrowed from Rock Band. GH5 took the World Tour bass guitar and gave it a sparkly candy apple red paint job, which I quite like.
See, look, I have this one, but it's currently broken, and I need to get it Arduino'd. Haha. Oh shit, that's a spoiler for the video, sorry.
The setlist features songs from Rush, Nice, Queen, David Bowie, Elton John, Nirvana, Gorillaz, and King Crimson, among others. There was a really large variety in genres, which some reviewers weren't too happy about, although personally I think it was a really awesome thing to have. Clearly inspired by Rock Band, GH5 introduced the ability to import most of the songs from DLC from prior Guitar Hero games, including World Tour and Metallica, with some costing a small fee to import forward, about 10 to 15 cents a song. Rock Band had this too.
Guitar Hero 5 brought controversy as well, as Kurt Cobain was added as a playable character and could be forced to perform songs like the YMCA. Yup. Courtney Love sued hardcore, however nothing really came of it because it was kind of just a dumb thing. GH5 signaled a shift towards more pop-oriented music for the series, and yet it still wasn't the worst example of this. That would be Band Hero. Band Hero placed a large emphasis on family-friendly music in an attempt to market to everyone.
As the name would imply, it supports all of the band instruments from World Tour and 5, and for the first time in the series had no new guitar peripherals introduced, instead just reusing GH5's red Strat. That should set your expectations for this game pretty damn low. The song list was filled with top 40 contenders, including tracks from the Jackson 5, Village People, Maroon 5, Fall Out fucking Boy, and Taylor Swift. What the
It isn't like the set list is bad per se, but you're liable to fall asleep while playing it. The charts are uninteresting, the graphics are pretty much the same as every other Guitar Hero game before this, and it's just kind of a nothing experience. Given its huge departure from the rest of the series and musical genre, the game was given middling reviews. This, alongside GH5, would be the last in the series to release on the then 9-year-old PlayStation 2. With GH5 spiraling Guitar Hero further and further towards a mediocre death, EA and Harmonix thought it best to keep playing the safe game with the next Rock Band, predictably named Rock Band 3. Please post your surprise comments below.
Pro instruments were released, which attempted to simulate the actual instrument as much as possible. 2 Pro guitars were released, a Fender Mustang with 108 buttons, why, and a Fender Squier, which was literally just a regular guitar hacked together to be playable with Rock Band. At the same time, they also released full-sized guitars, which had wood necks and wood bodies, but still just had the 5 buttons. This is why you don't give your game's accessories to Mad Cats. Drums benefited the most from the Pro instrument boost. Finally, proper cymbals were added, and with the use of a MIDI adapter, E-kits could be used to play any drum chart. Pro instruments could be used with any regular Rock Band chart, although special Pro charts were released for slightly more than a normal DLC song that took advantage. Many other DLC charts had cheap upgrades to Pro charts as well. As with every other Rock Band game, your DLC could be brought forward to this game. However, new DLC released for Rock Band 3 could not be used in 1 or 2. Not a massive deal, but it still kinda sucked given they had set a precedent with backwards compatibility. Rock Band 3 got 5 years of DLC and RB Network support, adding a couple thousand songs to the already massive Rock Band catalog. And since you could port 1 and 2's DLC songs to 3, a full song list would get you a catalog of nearly 5,000 songs you could play with all of your friends. Rock Band 3 was hailed as the ultimate rhythm game experience, which, let's be real, it basically was.
With a song list as eye-wateringly massive as it is, although it is sadly impossible to achieve all of it legally now, alongside support for all prior Rock Band accessories, as well as support for Guitar Hero controllers, it's no surprise. Rock Band 3 was the last game published by EA, and they dropped it pretty much right after it released. Later production of the game and its peripherals, as well as the Rock Band IP as a whole, ended up in the hands of...
Mad Cats.
That was really loud. Why did I do that? Rock Band 3 was a massive game, and in terms of set list, it was outright impossible for Activision and Neversoft to beat it, but they damn well tried. Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock was developed as the ultimate Guitar Hero. It even had a website to allow fans to request songs for the game's base set list. Neversoft pulled out all the stops to create the best Guitar Hero experience yet, almost as if they knew the fate of the franchise after this game came out. Warriors of Rock introduced a batshit insane guitar I want so badly, alongside a great return to form song list.
The entirety of 2112 by Rush was included, albeit split into 7 parts, alongside Burn by Deep Purple, a fully original song by Megadeth, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, Fury of the Storm by Dragon Force, which was a highly requested track ever since Guitar Hero 3, alongside loads of other songs. It features loads of returning Guitar Hero characters, and is overall a huge love letter to GH's legacy. Once again, it's almost like Neversoft knew what was coming for the franchise and tried to go out with the biggest bang possible.
Rock Band 3 and Warriors of Rock were moderate successes, but overall there was a sharp decline in sales. These games were coming out yearly, sometimes more than once a year, and these fans were getting sick of buying them every single time. With GH3, World Tour, and the original Rock Band, where the fad peaked, each game had big new introductions and innovations that made them worth buying, even if you had the past year's entry. But with GH5 and onward, nothing new was really being added to push sales. It was clear a name couldn't carry everything. And with the cost for each game skyrocketing with each entry, Activision and Mad Catz decided it was time to call it quits. Rock Band 3 and Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock were the last mainline entries in their respective series for years. People considered the plastic instrument game a fad, and most moved on, letting their Les Pauls and Fenders lay dormant in their closets collecting dust. But years after the fad was considered dead, Activision and Mad Catz decided it was time to breathe new life into these franchises. But first, I've been completely ignoring the spin-offs and handheld games up until now just because they're not that interesting, but since this is an overview video, let's do a lightning round of all these things because a lot of them are stupid and dumb and it's funny.
I touched on the GH band expansions earlier, and they're all pretty much stopgap titles with a setlist focused on certain bands. Guitar Hero Aerosmith, Metallica, and Van Halen feature, shockingly, lots of Aerosmith, Metallica, and Van Halen songs respectively. The Van Halen setlist had bonus songs entirely chosen by Wolfgang Van Halen, who's Van Halen's son, based off his iPod playlist, so that's pretty silly, huh? Lego Rock Band was a weird-ass game that's actually pretty damn good. It's got a solid setlist and has Lego Blur, so it's obviously the best game in the franchise, except you can't read the gems for shit, so it's terrible. The Beatles Rock Band was a super high-effort rock band game filled with love and passion and LSD dreamscapes, and it might honestly be my favorite rock band just because of how well it represents the Beatles. Wait, I fucking wrote that? I hate the Beatles. Green Day Rock Band exists, I guess. It was literally just like Rock Band 2 with Green Day songs. There was nothing to be said about it. Guitar Hero On Tour on DS used a GBA slot accessory which had 4 fret buttons and used the DS touchscreen as a virtual strum bar. It didn't really work, but you know, it got a sequel, so it sold pretty well. Woo! The Rock Band games on DS alongside Unplugged on PSP used a neat instrument switching system and used no accessories. Band Hero on DS had this dumb silicone cover to simulate the drum pad, but aside from that, it's the same as on tour, but with more gorillas.
Okay, we're done here. They're not interesting at all. Sorry. Maybe they'll get their own video, honestly, I don't know. In 2015, Activision and Mad Catz felt like it was time to try to innovate life back into its prior moneymaker, while introducing some classic microtransactions bullshit while they were at it. Yeah, it's 2015! Introducing Guitar Hero Live and Rock Band 4, the games that cemented the plastic instrument fad as old news to just about everyone involved. This part of our story begins shortly after Warriors of Rock. Neversoft had definite plans for another traditional Guitar Hero game, and even toyed with the idea of putting a 6th button on the guitar. It's an innovation. We know this because of a leaked guitar and some design documents. This is obviously scrapped very early in development, and for a while just sort of laid dead. On the other hand, Mad Catz was hurting for money, and just kinda hoped the potential Rock Band 4 would do well for them. Have you seen a Mad Catz controller in the past year?
Activision decided to take their shot at reviving the Guitar Hero franchise with a full reboot of the franchise, calling it Guitar Hero Live. The game got rid of the 5-button gameplay system and instead opted to use a set of 6 buttons arranged in a more authentic 2x3 layout. The guitars were also bad. The strum bars in specific were especially prone to breakage, with most overstrumming within a few days of gameplay. The game replaced the 3D stages and characters for FMV music videos behind the highway. To promote this concept, the game had a massive online-only song system called GHTV, which had thousands of songs you had to buy individual plays for, doing away with the traditional DLC system seen in prior entries. Songs on GHTV had global leaderboards as well as a pay-to-win system, replacing Star Power, thanks Activision. Hero Power was a gimmick where, by buying power-up tokens, you could boost your combo scores past the traditional 8x maximum, alongside other ways to make high scores easier to get. In classic Activision online game fashion, this could be exploited to hell and back, ruining the leaderboards. This game was developed by Freestyle Games, with no involvement from Neversoft, who at this point I'm pretty sure folded. As a result, it is a completely different game in just about every way, and not all of those ways are for the better. I don't think a reboot of the series was a bad idea, because at this point 5-button games had become extremely stale, but they should have gone about it in a better way.
In Activision's attempt to modernize Guitar Hero for the new console generation, they gutted it of everything that made it special in the first place. GH Live was seen as a middling game by critics at launch and sold absolutely horribly. Since no DLC was downloadable, when Activision shut down GHTV, their system of adding new content in 2018, the hundreds of new songs added within that time period instantly went away. This cut the game's total setlist down to the 42 on-disc songs and nothing else. Is it any surprise Activision was sued to shit? They eventually offered refunds, but the damage was well done. GH Live has been regarded as a pretty unanimous failure in both critical and commercial factors, and no new Guitar Hero projects have surfaced since. Mad Catz kept it simple with Rock Band 4, also released in 2015.
The game continued to support all Rock Band accessories released prior. You have to admit that's legitimately impressive. You could go grab your old Rock Band 1 set from your mom's closet and use it on your Xbox One, no issue. Although to use it, you would need some adapter fuckery, especially if you were on Xbox. This doesn't take away from how extremely impressive the backwards compatibility was for RB4. You could even port your DLC forward yet again, even from last-gen consoles, meaning that once again you had a massive set list right from the get-go. A few new instruments released with Rock Band 4, most of which being iterations off the prior Rock Band instruments. Not a lot to see there. The only one of note was a Fender Jaguar replica. Woo! RB4's biggest introduction was freestyle solos, which just let you go off in the middle of a song for the hell of it, basically putting a big rock ending in the middle of your song for no reason. The feature was considered pretty damn half-baked at best, and many players felt it was pointless. The game was also super buggy and lacked a lot of content at launch, including a fucking practice mode. There was no practice mode in this game at launch, leaving it in the same position to fail as Guitar Hero Live. But Harmonix is an extremely dedicated developing studio, and they didn't want to let that happen. They took the long road to redemption with Rock Band 4. The Rivals expansion was released in 2016, fixing many of the game's issues and adding new and well-received online features. In classic Harmonix fashion, they decided to keep being stubborn and release a shitload of DLC, both traditionally and through the returning Rock Band network.
The impressive part? The game still gets a few songs a month added to this day. Just recently, the script was written months ago, Knights of Sidonia by Muse got added to the game, showing that Harmonix is still willing to support their latest Rock Band game, even after their acquisition by Epic Games in 2021 and subsequent damnation to Fortnite metaverse hell. Overall, Rock Band 4 was a much more well-received game critically, but still didn't sell very well. The game can still be purchased on digital platforms, but its accessories have become unobtainium, especially on Xbox One. To play the game today on Xbox, you're easily spending hundreds of dollars for secondhand guitars and other accessories, and if you have legacy controllers, the legacy adapter is just not an option anymore. What? With Rock Band 4 and Guitar Hero Live selling as poorly as they did, their respective franchises went into the closets of both Mad Catz and Activision. Activision decided to focus the GH budget into COD. Please put your shot comments below, because I know I'm surprised. Well, Mad Catz fucking died in 2017. It was clear that the mainstream audience they coveted wasn't interested in playing Saint Anger on a plastic replica of a DG20 anymore. With that, a fad spanning nearly 10 years died not with a bang, but with a whimper. But our story's not over yet. Guitar Hero fans are devoted if nothing else, and over the past 7 years, fans have devoted themselves to keeping the game alive. From PC recreations, to modded guitars for minimal latency, to even some of those batshit mods ever made for a game. This is just some of what the thriving community has been up to over the past few years. Of course, easily the biggest innovation the game has ever had was Clone Hero.
Developed initially as Guitar RPG by main developer Ryan Foster, the game later evolved into a near-perfect clone of Guitar Hero's gameplay and mechanics. The game has wide support for just about any controller you can think of, guitar or not, lets you use MIDI drum kits, and boasts an extremely active streaming and charting community. It has prevailed as the primary method to play Guitar Hero on modern PCs as a result, obsoleting older efforts like Frets on Fire. Tons of popular Guitar Hero streamers built their audience on Clone Hero, and while the road hasn't been completely smooth so far, with the community having its fair share of cheating scandals, it's clear Clone Hero's far from dead. New developments like the Score Spy mod allowing Osu-like leaderboards and a much better anti-cheat system have kept the game relevant all these years. The Clone Hero development team even got a song off of Dragon Force's Extreme Power Metal album, including with every single install of the game.
Best part? They were able to get the rights to the song for only $1. Do I have a source for this? No. Is it true? Maybe. With such a fantastic PC solution to play the game, many fans desired a consistent and low latency method of playing the game with their guitars of choice. Many fantastic solutions to this problem have popped up over the years, with the two most popular being the RAFnet adapter for Wii guitars and Arduino and Raspberry Pi mods for others.
The RAFnet adapter is produced by a name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, a Canadian hobbyist who has developed some fantastic low-latency adapters for a wide variety of consoles. Among options for using N64, Genesis, and GameCube controllers on your PC with nearly zero latency, an adapter has been released which interfaces with many accessories that use the nunchuck port on the Wii Remote. This includes Wii guitar controllers, and over the years, multiple revisions have been released, all improving latency to the point where it's considered a nearly perfect solution for guitar use on PC. The adapter's price is its main downfall, costing about $26, not including shipping, which is pretty pricey. The adapter is absolutely worth the asking price though. Just about every CH streamer who uses a Wii guitar uses or has used a RAFnet before, and the brand name carries a high value.
The RAFnet isn't the only option available nowadays though. While the RAFnet is tried and true and fairly inexpensive, many players have opted to get their guitars Arduino modded. This mod is far more involved than the RAFnet's plug-and-play connection, as it requires replacing the internal circuitry of the guitar. However, it has some fantastic results.
Since it's an Arduino, it can have its software flashed on the fly for use with multiple different systems at extremely low latency. One Arduino guitar can work on PS3, PC, and RGH-modded Xbox 360 consoles without requiring any major modification aside from the Arduino itself. If you're able to solder or able to cough up $100 or so for a pre-modded Arduino guitar, you have one of the best solutions ever for playing Guitar Hero on countless systems.
But what if you don't want to play with a good game and you have a desire to watch Saul Goodman sing Bohemian Rhapsody? Get help! And after you pay the best therapist in town and then dump them onto the street, go install Guitar Hero World Tour Definitive Edition. It hacks up the PC version of World Tour to get you custom song and character support, as well as removing the arbitrary controller and microphone lockouts from the original game. You can use any Xbox 360 controller, including guitars, RAFnet, or otherwise, and any USB audio device to play the game.
So obviously the biggest claim to fame this game has is a slightly too large modding community. This has led to custom characters of all types and all chaotic versions being added into the game, and it's way too beautiful to put into words. Here are some of my highlights from screwing with the mod over the past few months. Yeah.
Pinkman. In real life.
That's pause.
Saul Goodman is spitting facts.
Thanks, Walter.
And then the gate, there's just no more.
They gave up on charting the chorus, which is the only part people care about.
This is all worth it. Do the thing, do the thing, do the thing, do the thing. Why isn't it doing the thing? Yeah, Taylor, hit the one. The game crashed.
You see, the funny part about this one is I was 7 months late to making the fucking video!
Guitar Hero and Rock Band are games millions of people have played over the past 18 years. These franchises are an iconic part of gaming history, with both paving the way for the rhythm game genre to finally get a real foothold in the United States. Even if they had a rocky finish near the end, the games from GH2 to GH5 are fantastic experiences that deserve more love. These games revitalized interest in rock and metal bands in the mid-2000s and had a profound influence on how record labels licensed their songs to video games and entertainment. You wouldn't get Master of Puppets in Fortnite without Guitar Hero, so goddamn thank it. It's safe to say that without Guitar Hero, we'd be in a much worse place. Regardless, everything good has to end eventually, and Guitar Hero's likely permanent shelving from the public limelight has established the end of an era for plastic guitar experiences. Sorta, unless you play fan-made stuff, in which case it never really ended. Whoops. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you might want to see me cover next.